Huh.
Well, here we are. Sorry for the delay there. Joe Rayo, Joe Chaffee on the Joe and Joe Weather Show on this Wednesday, the 15th of July.
Happy
Uh,
St. Quentin's Day, Joe.
is that today?
That's today.
So if it rained today, it'd be 40 days and 40 nights.
And if it's sunny, supposedly it's 40 days and 40, well, not 40 nights, but it's a sunny 40
I'd
clear
like
day.
to see
You
you
know,
warm your.
the way things are going lately, I would not doubt seeing the sun
Well,
at
it
12
could
midnight.
very well be.
Huh.
So let me tell you about my experience last night with Comet Neowise. Okay, so right after the show was over with, I went upstairs and sat outside and listened to the rumbles of thunder as a thunderstorm went through. I got my usual 5 drops of rain thanks to the boilerplate that's sitting over me. Around 8:30, I looked out the window to the north. I saw the cloud line, the clearer skies to the north. I was like, great, this is going to be perfect. So head up to the North Shore at 9:30. I'm there. To immediately a couple of problems. First off, they put more lights up there, so it was really hard to find a place where you just got like the natural darkness. All right. On top of that, along the Connecticut shore, there's all lights there. All right. So that was a problem. That's, you know, 16, 17 miles to my north. So I could see all these lights along the Connecticut shore lighting up the sky. They had buoys out last night, and of course their green lights are flashing left and right. Then there was a bozo in his boat flashing brights on and off, on and just you know, he did it for a while, then he just left them on. And let's add finally to those people who apparently, and Joe, you know people like this, people that go through stop signs or red lights, because my usual reaction to those people is that they must be exempt from laws. They obviously are exempt from them. They don't have to follow them. Well, there's this big huge sign. Please don't walk on the jetty. So what do we have? Of course, people on the jetty, and they've got their phones with their flashlights on, flashing flashlights all over the place. So the bottom line is, as you've probably figured out by now. Oh, and by the way, there was one, while the sky had cleared out, there was one narrow deck of clouds that covered about half of the northwest sky. So you know where this is going. I didn't see. I saw zero, nothing, not a flake, not an ice pellet, nothing.
You know, when we finished our show last night, it was pouring to beat the band, and I said, "Well, so much for viewing anything or seeing anything tonight." And then around 8:30, I went outside. Three-quarters of the sky was fairly well covered with clouds, but I noticed the one quarter that was not covered was over toward the north and northwest, which was the direction which I'm supposed to look for the comet. And by 9:30, when I stepped outside again, I was stunned. The skies were perfectly, absolutely clear. So immediately, my wife and we jumped in the SUV with a pair of regular binoculars, my 25 by 100s, which are I call my 25 by 100s, by the way, Joe, my Dolly Partons. You have to see these binoculars. They are big, and
Oh,
they,
good
you know,
Lord.
like this. And I actually, in fact, right behind me, right behind me, you can see the mount for this, and
Right.
a little bit of a counterweight here. You know, these binoculars are heavy. These are big, big binoculars. Anyway, threw that in the back of the car. We went only 2/10 of a mile from my house because I've been living here like 17 years, but there's a baseball field, or maybe it's a softball field, just 2/10 of a mile away. And I said to myself, maybe this might be a good place to look at the sky and maybe look for the comet. I got to tell you something. I drove into the dirt parking lot. We opened the gate. I'm not sure if we were allowed to be in there after hours, after dark, but we went anyway. And it was beautiful. It was like being at the planetarium. The tree line is very low. The stars were out. It was a gorgeous. I'd say last night was probably one of the best nights for viewing the stars all summer. Not much in the way of haze, very clear, very transparent, and we did get a chance to see the comet in between a couple of trees, but it was out there. Whether or not we're going to have any chance of seeing anything tonight, right now I'd have to say my skies are about anywhere from 70 to 80% covered. If they're convective clouds, they may fade out, but I'm also expecting, and maybe you are too, a wave of more cloud cover coming in later tonight. So if we do get an opening, it's going to be very fortuitous to see anything out there.
Well,
This is
I hold on a second. Just give me a moment here. On the satellite, well, let's update this. It's just updating on its own. There doesn't seem to be too much going on cloud-wise at the moment. Hang on. Update,
I'm
update,
waiting.
update, update. Hold on, my is about 2 hours behind. I'll bring it up on the screen in a bit, but I'm just looking at this now. We might pull it off. We've got 9:30 again,
Yeah, about 9:30.
and it
You
should
might,
be a little bit higher tonight.
you might,
You
Rabbit. You
might,
might.
Rabbit. You might. Yes.
Well, if you notice, I use the night microphysics map from GOES 16, which kind of better shows where the clouds are, the kind of purplish against the blue background.
Right.
And right now the purple seems to be over northern and northeastern Orange County, and of course right smack on top of my house. But we still have a couple hours for it to melt away or burn off. So yeah, maybe we might get a shot tonight
Did
up here.
you? I have. I'm bringing up your picture that you put up that you put up on Facebook, uh, and let's bring it up on the full screen here. So this was this was really a beautiful shot. Well, where I am. I'm on a hill, so I have trees on the northern sky. So I can't really appreciate the fact that the twilight lasts for so darn long. I was really, and I've forgotten it's still, we are middle of July. The the sky at 9:30 in the northwest side is actually fairly bright. And you took a beautiful shot here. You can see the comet right there on
First
on
of
on
all,
the shot.
First of all, the shot was taken probably closer to 9 o'clock, and second of all, I didn't take it. It was taken by my daughter's friend. They went to Kerhonkson, which is not too far from New Paltz, up in the Shawangum Mountains, if you will. The Mohonk Mountain House is not too far away from there, but they were able to see the comet. It's a little deceptive, Joe, because to the eye, the comet doesn't appear quite that bright. These iPhones and smartphones take some great shots, but they kind of intensify the image of the comet, making it appear brighter than it really is. It really looks more like a faint ghostly type of image.
Right.
Though if you're looking at it, and you'll see it in the sky most definitely, but the really good views come with binoculars. And again, with my 25 by 100 binoculars, this thing really was gorgeous last night. That tail that you see there is composed chiefly of dust, and dust reflects the light of the sun very well. The head of the comet appeared almost stellar in appearance. It's been measured to be about 3 miles across, the nucleus of the comet, but it's surrounded by a halo of gas, generally on the order of 80 to 100,000 miles wide. And it really is quite a beautiful thing to look at when you're looking at, especially with binoculars or a small telescope. And we don't get too many of these too often. They average about maybe 2 or 3 every 10 to 15 years, and we've got one in the sky now. And so if it's clear, you look over low toward the northwestern sky, and if you know your star patterns, here's a very easy. And I mentioned this. I posted a primer or a video of how to watch and what are all about comets earlier on my page, Joe Rayo Weather, on my YouTube channel. And if you can find the Big Dipper tonight, again around 9:30, use the bottom two stars in the bowl of the dipper and just extend those two stars straight down toward the horizon and en route down near the horizon, you will run across the comet. And then you're in business. Then you can either look at it with your unaided eye, better with binoculars, better with big binoculars like I have or a small telescope. But it's out there. Enjoy it because after this visibility, it'll be around for probably another week or so. After it fades out, it's not coming back for another 6,800 years. So I don't know about you, but I don't intend to be around at that particular time when it makes its return visit.
No, I'm thinking no. I'm thinking no. But who knows? We'll be, our stuff will be out there forever in the clouds. So they could just take our shows from now and just replay them.
That's right. That's right. Well, actually, if you think about it, long after the Earth itself is gone and other civilizations, other planets are training their radio telescopes and run across the part of the universe where we happen to be, even after we're gone, we will have left behind in our wake a huge reservoir of radio signals. So, um, even though we may not be here, let's say a few billion years from now, what we leave behind will be, evidence that, yeah, we were here in one way, shape, or form.
Well, that's, really good to know, I guess. Yes. Maybe they'll find Dr. Zachary Smith in the mess, too.
Yeah. If you ever saw that movie with Jodie Foster, Contact, which was a movie, the script was written by Carl Sagan. The very beginning of the movie, you see our planet Earth, and then all of a sudden you start moving away from the Earth. And as you're moving further and further away, you begin to hear uh, television shows from back in the 1960s and 50s, then radio shows from the 40s and 30s, and then eventually you get so far away that you can't hear anything because
Right.
the radio waves haven't reached that far out into space yet. But it's kind of interesting. Somebody once said for a civilization that's tuning in on our TV shows that's, let's say, 60 light years away, if they can manage to tune in on the right frequency, they're probably watching I Love Lucy.
Yeah.
Not reruns, they're probably watching the first episode.
Right, exactly. Exactly. All right, so we got summer weather. We're been in cruise control since Tropical Storm Faye came and went, and now looks like it's going to get hot for the weekend here in the Northeast. One of the things I pointed out is that for a change, which is different from what we saw in June, where we had happened a few times what we called an upside down atmosphere, where they were burning up in northern New England with temperatures in the mid to upper 90s, and we were in the upper 70s and low 80s here. But this time around, it's a normalized atmosphere. So it will be hot, probably up into northern New England with temperatures in the upper 80s to around 90. But this time around, it's going to be hotter as you go south. So you'll see temperatures in the 90s and maybe even some middle and upper 90s. I'm thinking maybe Sunday for places not too far from where we are, but heading down into, say, Maryland and Virginia. So it's a normalized, the way it's supposed to be in the temperature profile setting up for the Northeast. And as far as tonight is concerned, just a couple of things to note. There's you put up a heat advisory across the South. I sometimes think, yeah, really, that it's kind of supposed to be hot in the summertime in the South. So I'm not sure why. I mean, I know why they do it, but you get what I'm saying. This is not exactly breaking news from
Right.
from West Texas across the lower Mississippi Valley to some of the parts of the Central Gulf. We do have a working tornado watch at the moment in central and southern Illinois and a small portion of southeast Missouri, and severe thunderstorm watches for the second night in a row in the southeastern quarter of Colorado and northeastern New Mexico. Other than a few areas that are reporting patchy dense fog with some fog advisories and a couple of those gray spots you see on the map, it really is pretty quiet. The amount of activity except where we're seeing the severe weather, is actually quite minimal. I don't think, Joe, we're going to see that much in the way of shower and thunderstorm activity around here for the next 5 to 7 days. There'll be a couple of chances here and there, but I'm not really overly bullish about anything serious as far as the storms are concerned.
We might pick up a couple of showers with the advance of the warm front that will usher in um, the very humid conditions by the end of the week toward Friday morning. And then maybe with the cold front to the west of us, we might see a scattering of shower or maybe a thunderstorm or two during the day on Friday. But again, I agree with you, not anything that's going to be a major or considerable threat. And then after that, Joe, it looks like it's going to be just plain hot for Saturday, for Sunday. I think we're going to have a heat wave. I think Saturday, Sunday, Monday, and possibly even Tuesday, we'll see temperatures at or above 90 in many locations. Wednesday, there seems to become some kind of a disturbance that in the upper atmosphere that may induce a lot of clouds and scattered showers and storms, and that may keep us from hitting the 90 mark. But still, even Wednesday of next week will be very humid.
Seeing some of the blowups tonight going on with some showers and storms on the satellite in the areas that we showed you with regards to the watches. Some clouds firing up fairly quickly in parts of Colorado, also down in the Gulf states and over Florida. And we'll check out on the radar view here. We'll let me bring that up. Here we go, National Loop. And there you have it. So the first area where we have the tornado watch up, some pretty strong thunderstorms rolling through southern Illinois. The radar is pretty impressive there, Joe. Two very strong lines of storms and heavy downpours going all the way up into Wisconsin and up into the upper peninsula of Michigan. Also down in the Gulf states around southern Mississippi, Alabama, looks like there's a little disturbance dropping southward there with some storms. Along the west coast of Florida today, seeing some buildups from all the way from the southernmost part of southwest Florida on northward to about Tampa, St. Pete. And then you see those storms. Actually, the radar out in Colorado, New Mexico, and into eastern Arizona is pretty busy this evening with a lot of showers and storms there. I'm going to bring up, let's bring up lightningmaps.org just to see what kind of lightning strikes we're dealing with tonight. And whoa, very busy. A whole bunch of them down in the south here across Georgia and Florida with the storms we showed you and back through parts of Mississippi. And where we have the severe weather at the moment, quite busy. Lots of lightning strikes going on here, Joe, at this juncture. Very solid area there. Also further north as you move your way up through Illinois and get up closer, they tail off a bit before we get to Chicago. Most of the heavier shower downpours that are going on to the north, not producing a whole lot of lightning strikes. Then you got a whole bunch of them in Lake Michigan and up on the northern peninsula, the lower peninsula of Michigan. And let's just bring up Tornado HQ just to see what we have working severe weather-wise. And of course, folks, it's 7:22 Eastern time. So remember to go to weather.gov if you're watching this on a replay for the latest as far as where the severe weather is going on in your particular area, weather.gov. And we have 14 active severe thunderstorm warnings up right now for Colorado, Georgia, Illinois, and New Mexico. A whole bunch of tornado warnings expired about an hour ago. So very, very busy, very, very busy indeed with this these pockets of severe weather that we're seeing tonight. Particularly the one in southeast Colorado. That's where there's a lot of warnings up there at the moment. A whole bunch. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Looks like 7 or 8 of them over there.
I'm surprised there's not much activity. They had like 70% chance of thunderstorms in the coming hours for the Texas-Oklahoma panhandle, but there really doesn't appear to be all that much yet. But we still have a ways to go.
You have to wait for that stuff that's Colorado and New Mexico to start to swing a little bit further to the east. And the Storm Prediction Center, that was yesterday's with that marginal risk in New England. I'll give you an update here. So we have marginal risk in the Gulf states, slight risk in the Texas-Oklahoma panhandle, southeastern Colorado, where we have those severe thunderstorm watches up, and where we have the tornado watches up now in Illinois and Missouri. We are in a slight to enhanced risk in that particular area. And just to check out, I didn't really look until now. So for tomorrow, severe weather wise, looks like slight risk in western New York, western Pennsylvania, eastern Ohio, with the area of marginal risk that tails down from there all the way back into Arkansas, also small area in parts of Colorado, Nebraska, and Kansas. And on Friday, slight risk up in the Dakotas and in western Minnesota, marginal risk down into Nebraska. Otherwise, no risk areas to worry about here in the east. Not, we've been talking about this jet stream pattern the way it is, with that northern part of the jet stream being a bit busy, how far south it gets. Well, if it stays pinned a little bit further to the north, even if there's some weak short waves that move along it, they're probably not going to have a whole lot of impact here in the eastern part of the U.S.
No, and I think especially Saturday, the humidity may be cut down ever so slightly because the winds will be the prevailing upper level winds will be coming out of a west northwest or northwesterly direction. Nothing like what we've seen over the past couple of days, where dew point temperatures have been mostly in the mid and low 60s. But when you go from a 70 or thereabouts on Friday to maybe a 66, 67 on Saturday, maybe you might notice a little bit of a dip or a dent in the humidity levels.
Okay. Hang on a moment. I'm having some issues here. Things are freezing up. Hang on.
In this heat?
I know you would think.
Yeah.
Well, I'm talking about my browser just froze up on me. Oh, good Lord. Come on, folks. Come
Technology,
on.
Bill. Technology.
Oh, well. Oh, if it's frozen, I can't really do anything. Oh, maybe did it unfreeze on me? Please say you unfroze on me. All right, you know what? I'm going to come back full screen, try to unfreeze this. And in the meantime, why don't you see if you can get the
Well, first of all, I can thank three people on our chat board for hitting super chats tonight. Excuse me here. I should bring down a glass of water when I do these things nowadays. Paul Roman, courtesy of Hazardous Duty Pay. And also thanks, Joe R., for the Comet show earlier. Well, I guess he was one of the people who went to my YouTube page, Joe Rayo Weather, and I did a 35-minute primer on comets and how you can view Neowise, if not tonight, in the days to come. So if any of you out there are interested, and certainly if you're not a subscriber yet, why aren't you? You should be.
I mean, it is sinful if you're not a subscriber yet, for God's sake.
Exactly. We're up to 800 and I think 55 or 56.
Well, then you're getting closer to that magic 1,000.
Right. Maybe we'll get there by Labor Day.
All right.
Try and use that as a.
The next tropical system will put you over the top. Okay, I got it back up on the screen here. So let's.
All right. So we had Paul Roma and Johnny Quest also hitting super chats tonight. Brandon Doherty and Timothy Beltman.
Thank you very much for all of your super chat hits. We always appreciate it, Joe and I. It lets us get some extra coffee and tea or cigars for me or whatever it is that Joe likes.
Well, Tim Beltman says this is for the first daily double at Saratoga meet tomorrow.
Oh, where you can't, no crowds allowed. As far as I know, no crowds allowed. I don't even have it. I used to have an inn at Naira years ago. And I would be able, I would get seats, tickets, and all the rest of it. But those days are long gone, unfortunately. So,
coincidentally, with that heavy downpour we had here last night, the rain gauge obviously is working again. Thank you, Bunk, out of it. But we picked up for 10 minutes, Joe. We picked up 0.17 inches of rain. Again, that gives you an idea of the intensity last night of that one single downpour here.
I had 5 raindrops. It wasn't even enough to wet the concrete. So still with the same idea here, folks, that northern part of the jet lies right across the northern tier of states. And of course, you've got this, this east-west upper high that covers 5 degrees north is under the complete influence of the upper high. And when you go north of 40 north, you start to see that influence wane. especially when you head up into the northern lakes and the north and in the northern plains where there are some short waves rolling along. But this weekend, and next week, it's really going to be about this ridge and how long that produces for many states. This is the where you would think it would be hot, it's going to be hot. And it is mid-July, so at the very least, you're seeing average to above average temperatures. And of course, you start to see these little short waves that sort of swing across in that northern flow. They really don't have a whole lot of success in suppressing that high enough, at least on this particular run. And in fact, as we go through later next week, the ridge does actually strengthen a little bit. It starts to push up into the northern plains, but we're still on that edge. So I just want to watch for the possibility that you dropping in. And you know what, Joe? On the 384 hour today
Right.
is July 31st.
Ah,
So we're almost at the peak of the season with regards to temperature. Now up until the first, and then the slow descent begins.
exactly. Exactly. That's because the atmosphere is like an elephant. It has a memory, and even though the peak was on June 20th, the first day of summer with the sun highest, or to take that into account, and generally 3.5 to as much as 7 weeks after the solstice is when we have here in the tri-state area our warmest temperatures on average. And you're right, Joe. Once we get past, I think the first week of August, we're going to be hitting the decline, so to speak. And I haven't been able to really notice yet. Well, if I really took a good hard look in the early morning and again in the evening, the fact that we have